Stephen Dickens, CEO and Principal Analyst, Hyperframe Researcher, joins us now to take a closer look at Amazon ahead of next week's earnings. Very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us, Stephen. So what's your expectations heading into this?
So, Sam, I'm really bullish on where Amazon is. Spent some time with them last week at their New York summit. Got to have dinner with Swami Siva Subramanian, and got to really dig into what the company's doing around AI. Some fantastic announcements coming out of Amazon. They announced Kiro, which is their agentic IDE experience. That puts them up against Windsurf and Cursor. They also announced Agent Core, which is their sort of curated experience for agents. Announcements around Transform, some of their foundation models. So I'm really bullish on where AWS is going in the AI space. But also then you look at the wider Amazon. Prime Day 2025 is the biggest Prime Day ever. They've got 22% market share in streaming with Prime. They've now got somewhere between 220 and 240 million members for Prime membership. So they're also launching a satellite internet service with Kuiper and just had their third successful launch. So what I like about this company is just the sheer breadth and diversity of where it's making its money.
Yeah, and I suppose that speaks to why you sort of packed a lot in there, Stephen. So let's break it all down. Let's start with Prime Day, because that was obviously the most recent thing we saw. I don't think it's obviously going to be captured in this earnings report, but, you know, when it comes to this story and this event, you know, great for sales, not so good for margins, particularly if you're making those discounts. But it really is, to your point, about, you know, whether you can get more people to sign on to Prime and about the advertising. So where are you seeing, you know, those segments heading right now?
So I think that it's an indicator for where we see the overall market, Sam. I think as you look at, they've made Prime Day now one of those key shopping events in the calendar. I think, as you say, it's all around driving people to the platform. Once they've got them signed up into membership, they can position other services. We talked about Prime Video with its share of the streaming market. So I think that's foundational for where the company's going to just be that digital watering hole where people go to spend time, spend money, and engage with services.
I like that, digital watering hole. And, you know, as you mentioned, a multifaceted business. And so, you know, a lot of people out there, analysts, are bullish, particularly on the AWS AI growth story. Dig into that a little bit more. I mean, is that going to be the sort of biggest sort of growth driver that investors are going to be paying attention to, particularly off the back of the tailwind that we've seen, you know, with other company earnings, you know, demand stories that we're hearing as far as this trend is concerned?
We'll see a lot this week with Google's earnings and where they're going with regard to AI. Amazon's and AWS specifically has got to be part of that equation. I think for me, there's two pieces to this. There's the Amazon core business benefiting from AI. So that's in retail we've touched on. That's in supply chain. That's in across their entire business. So they're going to be a consumer of AI and are well positioned with their exposure from AWS to be on the front foot there as far as retailers and services business goes. But then we saw things like Kiro launch last week. I got to spend some time with some of the leadership at a big event they did in New York. They passed some of their growth metrics for the month within the first few hours, passed their annual growth projections within the first week. So some of the growth around Kiro, that puts them into competition with things like Windsurf and Cursor. That's going to be crucial. AWS has got those developers on the platform consuming infrastructure. Can they get them to now consume IDE type services? I think yes. They also made a huge announcement around Agent Core. They made announcements to their Transform platform. And that's not forgetting the foundation models, Nova, a series of models. So AWS is innovating up and down that stack, everything from Trainium 2, Ultra servers, right through to that developer experience. So a really sort of strong play here from Amazon in the AI space. And I think they're just going to ride the wave that we're seeing across the whole industry.
Right, and I'm seeing the latest price target boost coming from BMO Capital, looking at 270 from 233, keeping an outperform rating. So not the only one that's bullish, certainly on this one. Thank you so much, Stephen Dickens. Appreciate it. CEO and Principal Analyst at Hyperframe Research.